Welcome back to Free to Pursue. My name is Hélène Massicotte, and I am bringing you another book review today. This time, it is Born for This by Chris Guillebeau. I gave this book 4 stars, and they are very much well-deserved. Chris Guillebeau has a nice conversational writing style, and so you can see a lot of similar style in his previous books, The Art of Nonconformity, The $100 Startup, and a more recent one called The Happiness of Pursuit, among others. He has some other ones, but those are the ones that come to mind as far as the style of this book. And this book is for anyone that has a nagging feeling that there should be more to this thing we call work. And whether you are happy in your career, your job, or your handful of careers and jobs or not, I think that most of us can benefit from this book. The readability for the book is medium. As I mentioned, Chris has a conversational style, and so despite the fact that this book clocks in at about 300 pages, I found it not hard at all to get through. Now, what I liked about this book is that, just like Chris's other books, there's just the right amount of organization for the book, while still maintaining the casual approach the author has in writing to us. And I appreciate that. I don't think that a book needs to be dry to contain some really great information. Now, what I didn't like about the book, or where I was left wanting, was for a Born for This book where the promise is to help us discover what we should be doing or how we can better manage our career, I felt like the very practical, here's how you would do this, was a bit missing. The best example I have for you is the side hustle section, and even in the book, Chris kind of says, it could have been better developed. And it was, I think, 19 steps to getting to your side hustle. And what that section left me with was like this idea that it was almost like an outline for another book. So and as a matter of fact, it sort of is. Let me go get that book for a second. So yes, I think so. This book was issued out in 2017, so as of this video last year. And so here we go, Side Hustle. So I'm not sure if that book came available as a result of the feedback or if it was always in the works. But anyway, so essentially this Side Hustle book is the, the missing link that we have for this Born for This book. As I mentioned, I really think that this Born for This book is for anyone who cares about how they feel about what they do for a living. And I would argue that the majority of us feel that way, whether it is the side of our career where we get money for the work we do, or if we have some other side activities that that brings us a whole lot of satisfaction, we have to feel this kind of sense of purpose. And so I think that most of us would get something out of this book. Let me just give you a quick quote from Chris that kind of sets that idea. Even if you're earning a steady paycheck, you are essentially self-employed in terms of being responsible for your own career. Therefore, you should continually build your skills and look out for yourself. And that is on page 225. We should always care about what we're up to and why. I think that what we build, create, and do for this world makes up a big part of who we are. And in taking a look at this whole concept, Chris really takes us through 3 things that I think help frame this view of how we feel in relation to what we do. So the three things are that we need a balance of joy, money, and flow in what we do. So we'll explore that in a moment. The next one is that we should continuously try new things and then eliminate what doesn't work. So we as human beings are not static. We evolve. Our tastes and our beliefs and what we care about most can evolve over time. And if we insulate ourselves from trying new things, we can't really explore how we can evolve in and of ourselves. And I've actually written a few articles on this concept, and I will link them down below. And the third focus to career success that Chris wants us to think about is that having savings and building up goodwill, so building up a monetary reserve and building up a goodwill reserve with other people, is a way to be truest to ourselves, in that we feel we have the security and freedom to pursue things that we might not otherwise do. Given this YouTube channel and my blog are called Free to Pursue, you can best believe that I absolutely endorse that thought. So those are the three components, really the three big themes of the book, and I'd like to explore each one of them in sequence. Now, to talk about the flow, money, joy, overall view of career management that Chris is presenting to us, he uses a Venn diagram, and I'll include the picture of the diagram here. Essentially, he sees it as a good career portfolio, whether it is one occupation or a grouping of occupations, should offer us joy. We should enjoy and be passionate about what it is that we're doing. It should help us make a living. I mean, we have bills to pay, so we should feel like it is giving us enough money to live a comfortable life, whatever our definition of that is. And then also, it should be a set of endeavors, at least one of them, that creates a lot of passion in our lives. And we know that we're passionate about something if we start doing it, and we could just lose ourselves for hours in it. That is usually a great indication that we love what we do. And getting into a sense of flow is one of the most satisfying states of being, really. And so it makes sense that that would be part of that trifecta of characteristics that make for wonderful employment situations. Now, how can we maintain that joy, money flow? Well, we have to evolve with it, because something that we were passionate about before may no longer be a passion. Something that was giving us a good subsistence, a good amount of money to maintain a reasonable lifestyle, maybe that disappears. Maybe our industry has changed. Maybe what we used to do, we used to get lost in, we're no longer passionate about. We change, and that's okay. Well, then trying new things and eliminating what doesn't work, it makes sense that that would be another leg to the three-legged stool. So let's take a look at that one next. So what we do for a living is a little bit of a recipe. For some of us, it's one ingredient. For others, it's many. In my case, definitely many. I'm up to all sorts of things. But you can't know what you might be interested in next if you don't expose yourself to all sorts of different things. We don't know what we might be good at or what we might really, really enjoy if we never try it out in the first place. So it's a lot better to say, yes, I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try something different, than to just close ourselves off and feel like we need to stick with our knitting. And Chris talks about that a great deal in the fear of missing out career-wise, that we will forego trying something new because we're worried about what we're going to miss in the career that we're in. And in his view, it is absolutely not good enough as a reason not to try new things. Here's a quote from Chris to kind of seal the deal on this one. Contrary to popular belief, if you want to win, you shouldn't always just keep going. You should regroup and try something totally different. Winners never quit and quitters never win is a lie. To win, sometimes you need to find a new game to play. Page 302. Now the third one, if you'll remember, is to have savings, how to build up savings and also build up goodwill. And Chris emphasizes that building up savings and building up goodwill through relationships, helping each other out, needs to happen all along. You can't start that when you are in a crisis situation. When you find out maybe that your job is going to be declared redundant or you get fired or something, that is not the time to start building savings. That sounds pretty easy, right? As a concept. You can't save money when all of a sudden you're not making any or making less. But there's also goodwill. And that means paying attention to others, investing in others, supporting others when you don't need support yourself. It is the kindest thing you can do. But it is also extremely smart because at some point in your life, at some point in all our lives, we need to lean and sometimes lean hard on others. And if we have treated people with respect and been helpful over time, they will not hesitate to come to our service, to be of service to us when we are hitting a low, whether it is career, relationship, other things that could bring us down. So when we're in a crisis situation, that's not when we should turn on Mr. or Mrs. Nice Guy or Gal. It should really be throughout our lives because it can give us a soft place to land, just like having a fully funded emergency fund. That concept I also talk about a great deal on Free to Pursue, and that is you can check out the post called Liquid Courage. And that one just gives you a bit of a sense of how the way we manage ourselves and what we do with our lives can change a great deal when we have money set aside to essentially protect us somewhat from the whatever life can throw at us, and how having some financial security can help us be truer versions of ourselves. So it really matters. Now, out of the two, one of the items, this saving money, it can have a bit of a hybrid, and Chris does talk about it, and that is diversifying where our income comes from. So if there are 3 or 4 or more things that we're involved in my case, 11 sources of income for our household, it can make a big difference if one of them goes by the wayside. It's not the end of the world. The other things can more than make up for the gap of what it is that disappeared. And these 11 sources of income weren't actually by design. They kind of just happened. But I do enjoy the fact that having savings and various streams of income can really help us dabble in a bunch of things to figure out what we like, but also not feel choked if one of these different sources of income dries up. So it's kind of, we talk about diversifying our portfolio when it comes to investments, but diversifying streams of income can offer a lot of the same benefits. Speaking of investments, the bottom line is, Born for This is a book that many of us would find, I would say most of us would find some benefits in reading. And I would really consider this book really an additional investment in our career development. I think it's a really great resource to consider what we have done, what we're doing right now, and also for many of us to start really thinking about something that might have been on the back burner, something that may have come to mind from time to time, and just give us that little extra push to consider going in that direction. Now, I've mentioned a number of Chris's books in this review, but I also want to mention his manifesto. It is available online. I will link to it, and I will link to his blog online. The Art of Nonconformity, I believe is the name of his blog, just so that you can take a look at all the resources that Chris Guillebeau offers. I also want to mention a couple more things. He is the creator of the World Domination Summit event that usually happens in Portland, Oregon. It has been going, I think, now for 9 years straight, and I think next year, 2019, may be the last year. It seems to be that that was announced. Now, I have attended. It is strange and amazing at the same time. A number of other authors that I've read have been speakers at this event. You may want to check it out. I'll also leave the link to that event down below. And yeah, he is an interesting fellow. If you want to read this book review, you can find it on freetopursue.com. I'll leave the link, and also on rockstarfinance.com. If you go there, you will also find at the end of the book review an interview, a short interview, written interview with Chris Guillebeau that I had the opportunity to complete as part of that review. I think it's worth a read. He's an interesting fellow, and I think you'll enjoy. Now, if you are looking for further reading along the lines of this book, Born for This, I will make a few suggestions. One of them is The Element by Ken Robinson, and that really is a finding what you were meant to do kind of a book. There is also Why We Work by Barry Schwartz that looks at the motivating factors of what makes us do the work we do. And spoiler alert, it's not always the work itself. If you want to know more about what makes us tick, Drive by Daniel Pink might be your book. If you're feeling that work is off kilter all over the place, I might suggest The Way We're Working Isn't Working by Tony Schwartz. I would also recommend, if your workplace, if you are a leader in a workplace or a company owner, I think The Power of Full Engagement by Jim Lauer and Tony Schwartz might be a book as well that you might be interested in. Kind of a different perspective from the other books I'm mentioning and Born for This, but many of us are business owners and it could be of benefit. That's it for this review. Again, a very good book. I highly recommend it. And let me know what you think. Have you read this book? Do you like it? Did you read anything else from Chris Guillebeau? Do you have maybe other suggestions of books in this category or another book you just want to recommend? Because please leave a comment down below. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up as well, just so that I know that this is a type of book that you like or that you like the book reviews in general. I look forward to hearing your comments if you have any, and also to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.